This podcast is a production of Unfiltered Studios. If you would like to know more about joining Unfiltered Studios, please visit our website at unfpod.com for more information.
They could both turn the world on with their smiles.
This is Mary Richards in the newsroom.
This is Rob Petrie down at the Allen Brady Show.
Backed by whip-smart writing and strong ensemble casts, both garnered multiple Emmys, as well as countless laughs. Whether they were at home or at the office,
You've got a real flair for comedy.
they both did make it after all. The Mary Tyler Moore Show and the Dick Van Dyke Show, back to back. Weekdays starting at 2 Eastern, 11 Pacific.
Coming to you live from our basements. It's the entire Syncology here.
Show.
The Dick Van Dyke Show. Yes, Carl Ryder presents.
With Mary Tyler Moore. Maury Amsterdam. Who's Maury Amsterdam?
And that guy.
Rosemary. And Larry and
Jerry Mathers as the Beaver.
And Rosemary's
Larry-
Baby.
Larry-
Oh, wait.
Larry Mathers. And Larry Mathers. Yeah.
What about Rosemary's Baby?
Rose.
Yeah.
Oh, shit. My
Wasn't that Maury Amsterdam?
Yeah.
bad.
Did you know I read that people in bars would place bets on whether he tripped over the hashtag at the beginning or jumped
I
over?
saw that because there was like two
Yeah.
different theme songs, and Carl wanted that level of
Yeah.
ambiguity just so it wasn't the same old boring theme song.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had fun
Yeah.
really doing a lot of trivia for this. And I mean, this was a long time coming. We promised from the get-go when we finally got our stuff together, and we're like, every Thursday is a party. But it's like, yeah, we got to cover every other sitcom that's a gem. I did a significant amount of TV land growing up, and Mary Tyler's sitcom was a cultural blind spot for me, but I already knew him from, watching Mary Poppins to death, and Dyke. And
Yeah.
what I really loved when Carl Reiner was making it kind of a weekly get together, like he would hang out with his longtime best friend, Mel Brooks, for dinner every night when he was retired. And then he'd come on Conan once a year. He did start unearthing some previously on scene, like the original TV pilot where he was the star before he reworked it.
That was the thing. It was a TV pilot.
I
that
couldn't
he'd
believe it
done.
because like it could have worked, but it was just the world wasn't ready for that.
It wasn't ready for it. And then what they did was they said, all right, listen, well, because I think Sheldon Leonard was involved in it.
I think so. Yes.
Yeah.
So,
See, look at
So
you
when
go,
s-
dude. You are the movie database. You get
so Sheldon Leonard said, look, we'll do it, but you got to get somebody who's a little bit more well known. And they got Dick Van Dyke, who had just come off of Bye Bye Birdie.
Oh, yeah.
So he was brought in. Then they had Rosemary and Maury Amsterdam, and Rosemary actually is based on Selma Diamond, who was on Night Court.
Whoa.
Yeah. So, and then Maury Amsterdam is supposed to be like a composite of like probably Mel Brooks and a couple of the writers on Your Show of Shows and Caesar's Hour. So there's a lot of
Basically,
that.
unused ideas finally coming to fruition. That was the compromise. It's like, okay,
What-
Dick, it's your show. Mary, you're the lead. You're going to get us, you're going to get more screen time. I didn't know about the butting heads backstage, but that doesn't surprise me. But I also didn't know that the dentist, the neighbor,
Jerry Paris.
Jerry, yeah. Jerry was played by
Jerry
Jerry
Paris.
Paris, future Happy Days
And-
director and Police Academy helmsman. I'm like,
And
what?
Millie was played by Anne.
I think
Was
I
she
know
on
who-
other shows like Andy Griffith or something?
No.
Really? Oh.
And
What? I'm just.
She looked like it.
Millie Helper, who lived next door to them,
Mm.
was Anne. I gotta see this. Hold on, because I'm gonna be like
Sally Rogers.
no. Sally Rogers was Rosemarie's.
Oh no,
character.
Rosemary played Sally. Okay.
Yeah.
Which character?
She
Millie
was the
Helper.
wife of the. She was the wife of the guy next door neighbors.
Yeah. So
Okay.
Jerry Paris was. Millie Helper was
Jerry's.
Anne Morgan Gilbert.
There we go. Okay.
But you know her as Yetta Rosenberg, Fran Fine's daughter and grandmother on The Nanny.
Whoa.
And then not only that, she was in Grumpier Old Men.
For real? Wow.
Wow.
For real,
I remember that. Yeah.
Grumpier Old
Yeah, I think she was.
played the mother.
Wasn't she both from Math Out Stunt Double?
I'm not jumping off that bridge. God, if you expect me to go down in that subway, God damn it, I'm not going down there. Get Ann to go down there. I'm not ruining my face because of that.
Can you imagine Walter Matthau in a sitcom at this time?
When was
I'm not playing by your standards, you damn network exec. I'll say what I want.
70 to 75.
70, 75. Okay, I thought it was in the 60s, but yeah.
I did too.
Well, no, the film was in 68. The film was 68, and then they greenlighted the show in 70. And they said they had got Tony Real and Jack Klugman had done, a stage version of it, I think, before that.
Did they ever syndicate different versions in syndication, or?
Well, the only one I know of that's in syndication.
All I know is there was the later show, but I don't think that
Matthew Perry tried to remake it with
what?
Yeah.
Yep.
Matthew Perry and
I know he did The Odd Couple with Tom Lennon. I didn't know.
Yeah, Thomas Lennon and Matthew Perry did The Odd Couple, and that was a pretty good remake. I liked it. It's fun.
Yeah, it was clever. It wasn't over to the top. It was just fun.
Wasn't there a black version on TV too?
Yeah, Desmond Wilson and Ron Glass.
Okay,
And
Devon Wilson from Sanford and Son.
Devon Wilson and Ron Glass, who was on Barney Miller. They were
in the Firefly guy. Yes. Oh my god.
That was the 80s. I think.
Rest in
That was
peace.
the 80s, and it only lasted for like 1 or 2 seasons.
Yeah,
Rest
I
in
remember
peace.
there was another Neil Simon, Barefoot in the Park. There was a black version of that, short-lived.
Yeah, Joey Mitchell, and I'm trying to think who else. But that was
We're the
another
sitcom
one they took
database
from the movie.
Yeah,
I had fun.
Temperatures Rising. That's not.
Oh
Neil
God, yeah, that's the one they did. They did 2 versions of it, and the first one was with James Whitmore and Cleavon Little, and then they flipped it and they brought Paul Lynde on because he just done the Paul Lynde show. So then they called it the all new Temperatures Rising, and I was like, oh,
Now,
I'm in a hospital. Stay away from the Jewish patients.
Carl Reiner was the creator of the show, right? So didn't he do a show before that he was actually in?
Kinda, yeah. It was kind of that's kind of how he got the power, to your point. Yeah, he had success with that. So they're like, let him tinker with some other stuff for the network. Yeah.
Well, the thing was that Reiner was the head writer on your show of shows. And he did sketches with Sid Caesar. I mean, they were great sketches. But then he got to be more well-known as time went on, as working with Mel Brooks.
Right.
And, so he wrote this pilot for this show. And, Sheldon was like, okay, look, well, you can create it. You can do whatever you want. We're going to put somebody else in there. He was like, yeah, fine, go ahead. I know I'm not that good looking, but go ahead, put somebody else in there. And I think the thing was that as time went along, that's his baby. That's his baby right there.
That's kind of why I like him.
Dyke,
he was kind of that wise ass, kind of like Don Rickles, where he had those kind of zingers. Gotcha.
Well, he'd always do something like so off the wall. And the thing is, if you watch him with Sid Caesar
for Steve Martin, great guy. Miss that man.
But
and that's kind of what I love about him. He'll always be known to so many generations. He's just always has kept relevant. Like you can't spell comedy without him.
Well, that's the thing. When he passed away, I was like, we only got Mel left, and that's it.
Yeah.
You know,
This is
most of
not
those guys.
Danger Will Robinson. Yeah.
No, this is oh shit. Mel goes and that's it.
Didn't he
But-
help create the Jerk movie too? With...
Yeah, and
Yeah, he
Man with
did.
Two Brains, and yeah, he's
He directed it. He did.
And he actually had a role in it too. He was the guy the first guy that Steve Martin
Who was
sold
cross-eyed.
the glasses thing to.
Yeah, the glasses
Yeah.
thing.
The
Okay.
optograph. The optograph. He sues Steve Martin for the optograph, and he takes his glasses off when he's cross-eyed.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Fucking he, and
So
he,
that's why he was penniless. Yeah, because of the.
I could take this ashtray with me, maybe.
And that's all I need. Yeah.
How about
That's
running with
all
the
I
dogs
need.
when he's nude too? Marie.
That's all I need.
How do you know you're going to kick Iron Balls McGinty?
Wow.
I just
Special purpose.
Special purpose.
Your
I
mom and
haven't seen it in a
dad.
long
I
time. I
finally got a
haven't watched
blowjob.
What was it when he was at the gas station and he's like, "Oh, these cans are exploding"? Or
He doesn't like these things. And then it walks with the assassin, like the crazed gunner. He's going, he doesn't like these cans. Get these cans away from
Get
here.
these cans away unknowingly that someone's trying to kill him. Yeah.
Doesn't that character mellow out too and become friends with him later in the movie too?
Yeah, he finds out. It turns out he's a private. He turns out to be a private investigator.
Oh yeah, and I love the scene where he says, "I know kung fu," and he tries to take on all the racist Italian mobsters.
We got to get rid of the niggers. The what? The niggers. The eggplants, the moulignons.
What'd you
Sir, I am a nigger.
Yeah.
Boom, he starts kicking everybody's ass, and then he kicks the one by. He goes, "Oh," like that, and he goes, and Bernard Pierce goes, How the heck were you supposed to know you were going to kick Iron Balls McGinty?
Oh, and it's a shame not enough people have seen
Sorry
that.
for the
I mean,
racial
it's a
epithets, I
very
just
tame
remember that.
R. Yeah.
Go
ahead.
But with the Dick Van Dyke Show, I gotta say, like that's the first time you see a real good ensemble cast on a.
Absolutely. I would watch it back to back with Andy Griffith growing up. And
Yeah.
I think the reason I just admired it, it was the sets looked very much like, from 20 years earlier, I Love Lucy, but instead of just the camaraderie of just, I felt like it was also a bit like the Honeymooners. You got way more of the neighbors weighing in on everything. It was a bit of a bigger ensemble versus just the two married couple and what are we going to do this week? And that's all good. I am in no way knocking any of these. They all have their own identity. I'm just trying to explain kind of what it was slightly doing different. It was weighing in more, but instead of having, Jack Benny and company, getting in a random argument, it was kind of just more like, guess what I did today at work? Well, you didn't tell me about that.
Well, yeah, they would usually start with they'd start out like talking about what happened.
Yes.
In each episode, it seemed like.
And it just gets even more wacky the more they explain it.
Like where Richie swears it's Laura finds out Richie swore at school. And you're trying to figure out what did he say at school that got him in trouble.
Yeah. What exactly?
Well, Rob, he heard it from you, but I never say that word. You do. It's like the one I love is when she's confronted on TV and she says, Alan Brady wears a toupee. Now, we've never seen Alan Brady. Alan Brady was supposed to be like Sid Caesar, okay?
I did read that trivia, and because for those who didn't know, Carl had previously worked with Sid and wanted him on here, and I think I can't remember if he was doing something else at the time.
He might have been doing something else. He might have been doing a revival or something like that. I don't know what, but the thing was that there's the scene where he says Alan Brady takes it. So she comes to Alan Brady's office, and there he is sitting with a hat on, and he has all his toupees on like mannequins' heads. And he looks and says, "Okay, boys, we've been found out."
Oh man.
I mean, that's what made it so great. There's these so many over the top moments,
and it plays on your doubts, like, why would you think that about me or something? And it kind of half the time they would half of it would just be based on a rumor or a misinterpretation. And I think that's why I liked it a little more, while Leave It to Beaver and Griffith was more about just a wacky way of teaching ethics and everything, and this was more just day-to-day life. Just this, I mean, I see a bit of it definitely in Seinfeld, and it's a bit about everything and a bit about nothing.
Yeah.
Well, it's sort of a peek into the entertainment industry in a way.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
it wasn't.
Yep.
It wasn't the first show to do that. There were some
No.
shows before that, but
There were shows
what were
before
some of
that,
the
but-
other runner-ups?
Well, I find it interesting that it's behind the scenes at a variety show, Alan Brady show, and then Mary Tyler Moore was behind the scenes in a newsroom.
I had fun also finding out
Yeah.
this is technically part of the St. Elsewhere Seinfeld verse. Apparently, Alan Brady does appear on both Friends and Mad
Are
About
you kidding
You.
me?
I am not kidding. Carl Reiner appears in character as Alan Brady on
Oh
both
my
of them.
God.
Friends?
Yeah. Well, Mad About You, and I think Friends, or no, Seinfeld. I think.
Oh,
Yeah.
really?
Yeah.
Well, one of
I don't
those.
remember that.
Yeah.
What's the deal with Alan Brady?
Who
Is he
are these
mentioned or he actually
Brady?
shows up on the show? Because I've seen them all. I don't. Wow.
I think it's more Mad About You, which did crossovers with the other two. But yeah, I mean,
Oh, not Seinfeld though.
not Seinfeld directly. No.
Oh, okay.
No.
But I love how, in all fairness, Kramer kept invading other shows, and so did some of the other people.
Mhm.
What's her name? I think Phyllis or whatever appeared on from Frasier appeared on Wings. So it's good. I call it the
it's that Cheers Frasier universe with
NBC
Wings.
cinematic universe.
Yeah.
Everybody at the St. Elsewhere goes to the Cheers bar. Yeah. Fun stuff. But I do feel like it is kind of funny though how it's called the Dick Van Dyke Show, even though that's not his in character name.
Rob Petrie and Laura Petrie.
Yeah.
And Buddy Sorrell was Maury Amsterdam. Sally Rogers was
Also, you Amsterdam.
Rosemary, and then what's his name? Deacon. Richard
Mel Cooley.
Deacon, Mel Cooley, and Mel Cooley was the brother-in-law of Alan Brady. So whenever he'd walk in, he'd always be kind of like, "I expect you people to have the script ready by today." And of course, Buddy would just jump on it, "Hey, Mel, can I draw 3 holes on your head? Why? Well, I want to see you look like it's a bowling ball." He would just say something so.
Now here's something else. Here's something else to think about. I'm going to use my, Jeff Goldblum voice here because it's kind of weird. It's going to be kind of weird here. I got Alan Brady over here, and maybe on the Brady Bunch you have Mike Brady over here. So maybe they're from the same Brady family. That's why we have a crossover. There's a crossover, and it's going to be a really cool thing. Maybe we'll figure out what happened to Tiger the dog.
Yeah. Well, to your point, Cam, too, Mary Tyler Moore show, she played Mary Richards, too.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
And what was this?
To you guys' earlier point, I mean, that showed you the inside of a regular office job. Now we take it for granted. Everybody's tried that, but it's like, well, that wasn't a thing back then.
That was the first real office
and
comedy.
My mother
MCM came up with WKRP, behind the scenes at a radio station.
That's true. News radio, all those. My mother loved Ed Asner on that. She didn't really care for him on the Love Boat, but I think that was a perfect example of how.
No, Gavin McLeod.
Gavin McLeod
was on the Love Boat.
Yeah, that's who it was. Okay, well, but I know Asner. She's like, oh yeah, just Tyler Moore. That was his best role. I'm like, so I do find it interesting.
Well,
just all these guys, like that's kind of their high point. Like without that, you don't get Betty White becoming the sitcom queen. You don't get.
Well, here's the thing. You have spinoffs from Mary Tyler Moore.
Mm-hmm.
Rhoda.
You've got Rhoda, Phyllis, right,
and Lou Grant,
and the Betty White Show.
Yeah,
was that a spinoff or was she?
That's
right. I totally
okay. So basically, what happens is basically what happens is this, right? So Mary Tyler Moore is on from like 1970, 71, 70.
I think you're right.
And then
just
it goes
around
to
that
70,
early.
It goes from 70 to 77.
77. Okay, so then what happens is, the stars of that show. So Mary Tyler Moore gets her own variety show, which is famous because Michael Keaton and David Letterman were on that show, right? So it's a fact. Then Ted Knight gets the Ted Knight Show, which is not the one Too Close for Comfort. It's the one where he played the head of an escort service, right? That only lasted,
pretty
that only
risque
lasted,
for that time.
No. It wasn't that kind of an escort service.
Oh,
It was like,
okay.
it was just like if you needed a date to take you to the theater or something like that, he'd get. It wasn't like that, okay?
If you
So
say
then
so.
that happens,
I'm just
okay?
kidding.
So then the spin-offs from Mary Tyler Moore are Phyllis, which was on for 2 seasons with Cloris Leachman, Rhoda, which is Valerie Harper's spinoff, Lou Grant, right? And then you've got the Ted Knight Show, and then you've got the Betty White Show, where she played a woman who was like, she's playing like a spoof on Policewoman with Angie Dickinson.
Wow.
But
No,
I was trying to picture her with a gun.
But she wasn't Sue Ann Nivens though.
No, she was Sue Ann Nivens.
Oh, she was. Okay.
She was Sue Ann Nivens. Georgia Engel played Georgette.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and then when they did the Betty White Show, it was her, John Hillerman, all right, and Georgia
Drinking
Engel.
Magnum in Chinatown.
Yeah. Well, John Hillerman had done a bunch of comedies, and the funny thing was, John Hillerman had worked with Peter Bogdanovich, who directed.
He made us think he was British. He's just like a local Texan guy.
He was a local Texas guy. But then the funny thing is, if you watch it, John Hillerman had done movies with Peter Bogdanovich, who then worked with Cloris Leachman on The Last Picture Show, where she won her Oscar as Best Supporting Actress. So there's like that little funny tie there, the Bogdanovich tie. And the thing with Mary Tyler Moore is that it's the characters that drove the show.
Right.
There was especially between her and Lou.
Yeah.
Lou Grant.
Yes.
Lou Grant was every hard boss with a heart of gold, And
how often has a character from a comedy go on to play that same character in a drama?
Yeah.
I don't think that's ever happened before or since.
It wasn't a common thing, no.
Oh.
I remember.
I love both those shows. So yeah,
I remember. I checked out every other episode because I was trying to fill 2 hours. I checked out every other episode of Mary Tyler Moore, and I got to the last episode, and that's where Rhoda and Phyllis come back for that last episode.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay.
They do a surprise visit, and the crowd goes nuts. And she didn't know they were going to be on. She didn't. What?
She didn't know that?
No, it was a surprise.
Okay.
Supposedly it was a surprise. They said, "Oh, somebody's coming." So then all of a sudden the door opens. There comes Valerie Harper, and there comes Cloris Leachman, and it's kind of like a surprise for Mary Tyler Moore to see them. Okay. Because she didn't know. That's why her reaction is like that. Supposedly, that's what I heard. That was a reaction, and then they just read the lines. So they were reading the lines, but they did it like oh my god, I can't believe what happened, like that. So
it's a little like Suzanne Plachette showing up on the last Newhart.
Yeah.
That was a good one.
I love
The last episode is my favorite one is Chuckles Bites the Dust.
Yes,
that's the classic. It's like when you go back to Dick Van Dyke and you see the one where Alan Brady gets outed for wearing a toupee, or the one where Laura finds out that the painting she posed naked for is being displayed in a museum, or the one where the aliens come and they're like walnuts, and that's some funny shit, or the one where they think Richie got switched with another baby and they meet the couple and the couple's black.
My God.
I saw that one. In fact,
that's some great shit,
On that one, I watched every first episode of Dick Van Dyke until I got to the last season. Yeah, every first episode of each season until I got to the last episode. And they even the last episode of Dick Van Dyke kind of recaps like previous episodes, and it brings up the black family again.
Okay.
Yeah,
in that episode.
There's one episode I love where they did a Christmas episode, and they were like doing their own little stuff, and I think Larry Matthews sings the Little Drummer Boy or something like that. And then the thing that gets me the most is there was one episode they didn't have a laugh track.
Wow.
Do you know what that was?
I have no clue.
They filmed it 2 days after I think JFK was shot.
Okay.
Yes.
and I think they didn't have a laugh track. I think that's something I read.
Yeah.
The Dick Van Dyke Show, it ended in 66. Did it?
Yeah.
And I'm trying to remember that last episode I watched. It wasn't, every episode was still black and white up until even
Yep.
Yeah.
the very
Color
end.
didn't start coming in about 67 or so. I mean, well, yeah,
no,
late
I can
66,
remember.
early 60.
there was some color,
I
but
can remember watching
wait.
Superman going from black and white to color, and that was in the 50s.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So I
But
think
across the board, color was late 60s. Yeah.
CBS was being too chintzy with going with color, but they would have some shows, come in but that was something else. But I can remember Dick Van Dyke being black and white all the time because if you watch, Perry
Same.
Mason was black and white, Twilight Zone was black and white, and you want to know something really funny too? Rob had a brother. Who was the brother? Who's the brother on the show? Who's the brother on? Who's Rob's brother?
It wasn't his actual brother, was it? I don't.
It was
remember
his
that.
actual brother, Jerry Van
Van
Dyke.
Dyke.
Okay.
Yeah,
Wow.
he was
course it
in
would
the
be.
army. He was in the army. He brought his banjo over, and Jerry and Dick were like, they had a good old time on that show. That's what I love when his brother showed up. And like, wait, that's his real brother. Yeah, that's his real brother. It's Jerry Van Dyke. So, so yeah. But
to go back to the cohesiveness of the Dick Van Dyke Show, I'm wondering whether that's not an outcropping of the type of entertainer that Dick Van Dyke and Mary Tyler Moore are. They came up at a time when you had television was still relatively new at that point, but look at especially Dick Van Dyke. He was more of a stage guy. With stage productions, you have to be a lot more cohesive. You have to rely on everybody. You have to know what everybody's going to do. Know where everybody hits their marks. And I think that, combined with his natural love of the theatrical, really helped to bring a cohesiveness to the show. And really, any show that he did, even today, you can see him well into his 90s, still entertaining because that's what he loves to do.
Well, I can remember watching him in Bye Bye Birdie, and my mother loved musicals, so she put on Bye Bye Birdie. And I was watching it, and if you think about it, every time he's on this, he's the focal point. He's the focal point, and if you watch him in some of the movies he did later, like Divorce American Style or Cold Turkey, he's the focal point of the whole thing. He's not trying to upstage anybody, but the way he just reacts with things is so fluid. Gleason did that too. Gleason could do that.
Yeah, definitely.
Gleason could do that.
True.
But Gleason was more broader, more physical. Dick Van Dyke would be like what? Like you're putting me on. Like you would have that put on face about him, and that's what made him so good. And I'll watch Dick Van Dyke if it's the middle of the night and I'm up like on a weekend. I'll put Dick Van Dyke on, and I'll still look at all the people. It's this thing that I always said: when you're the center of the show, right? You have to make everybody draw to you, but then you draw to them. It's like this like give and take thing,
It really is. I think that's why it was so good, was just nobody was trying. Obviously, some of the women were combating each other, but everybody had enough things to do instead of you're only going to be here and be the butt of the joke. You're only going to do this or start the show or be the straight guy,
Yeah, you bring up Cold Turkey, and I really like that movie. I watched it again. I haven't watched it in 20 years. I watched it again today on Pluto, and I'm like, I'm going to buy this movie.
Nice.
It had a good ensemble cast with it in that movie. Bob Newhart was in it.
Bob Newhart was in it. I think Jean Stapleton was in it.
Yeah, she was.
Yes.
Yeah. Basically, the town has to go cigarette free for 30 days?
Oh, and I forgot, Bob Newhart's in it, so is Tom Poston, and then they later go on to be in Newhart together.
Yeah, Bob Newhart's kind of the villain in that, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. Yeah. Which I kind of scratched my head at that a little bit, but yeah.
Yeah, and
Wasn't Bob Newhart a MTM production as well?
Yep.
I think so.
Yeah, I think
he
so.
was.
This one?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
good.
I've also,
Not his variety show, but the psychiatrist one. Yeah.
yeah,
Behind
Yeah.
the scenes at a
Yeah,
Bob Newhart
psychiatrist's
show, yeah.
office. Yeah.
And then it has the Randy Newman song, he gives us all his love.
Yeah.
something else to really point out, especially about Dick Van Dyke. Now that you mentioned Bob Newhart playing a villain, Dick Van Dyke played a villain in an episode of Columbo.
Yes.
Oh wow.
And I'll tell you that was a culture shock for me the first time I saw it. But the more
with the camera, the ending with the camera.
exactly. But
the camera was the payoff. Yeah.
Yeah, the more I watched it, the more I appreciated just the kind of depth he brought into it. He was playing completely against type.
Was he really?
He was able to pull it off.
Was he really playing? Because I don't remember the episode. Did he really play like a really bad guy?
Yeah, he played murderer. He was a murderer in
Nice.
But the one thing, there's a movie he did called The Comedian, which he played a Buster Keaton type character.
True.
And you feel nothing for pathos for this guy because he goes from being the top comedian. And Carl Reiner directed it. I remember Carl Reiner directed it, and he when he did that movie, it was basically a story about, like, he was like Buster Keaton. Here he is at the top of his game, and then all of a sudden, life starts to chip away at him. His first marriage becomes, it's just a joke. The wife leaves him. He basically drinks himself, into poverty. It's basically a shadow of what Buster Keaton was doing when he was like at the top of his game, and also he was just a gag writer for MGM. Then everybody started rediscovering his movies and stuff like that. But yeah, that was a good movie. And then if you remember, after Dick Van Dyke, he did The Comedian, and I think he did one of my favorite movies of all time, Chitty Chitty Bang Bang.
Yeah.
What year was that
movie? What?
What year was that?
68? 68.
Yeah.
I thought it was
68.
The Child Catcher scared my little brother. I remember when that was on TV.
Oh, the Child Catcher. Robert Halpern? Oh God, he scared the crap out of me. And then I started reading how the kids would like go up with him and play with the phony nose that he had on.
Yeah.
Because that wasn't his real nose. It was a fake nose. But Dick Van Dyke said that at one point they were filming a scene where he went around the corner and the horses lost control. And that cage that they had? Well, what happened was Halpern was a dancer. What he did was he jumped up and basically catwalked across the freaking cage as it was going off, and then just jumped off. And Van Dyke was going, "Holy shit!" He couldn't.
Can you imagine though, like an alternate reality where he's only the guest star guy instead of the leading sitcom guy? I can't imagine that future.
Well,
heck no.
He did do Diagnosis Murder.
And this is not a knock against actors who make a living do that. It's just it'd be so different. Like, man.
Yeah.
Well, that's kind of along the lines of Murder, She Wrote, in a way, isn't it? With the way the plots came out.
Yeah.
JJ,
I loved watching that show, Diagnosis Murder.
Dick Van
I would
Dyke
tape it if I had this.
playing another movie where he played an alcoholic. I seem to remember seeing it.
And you're right.
He winds up.
And he and Mary Tyler Moore, weren't they also in like a PBS drama where they actually used some frank language or something? It was a more mature movie, I think.
Yeah. Did they use TV's frank language though?
No, they actually say the F word 5 times. It made it on the TV tropes list of unusual censorship.
Yeah, I know that Dick Van Dyke did a movie about being an alcoholic because he is an alcoholic.
That might be the one.
Is that where he winds up just destitute on the beach at the end? I think.
Yeah,
that's not the comedian. No, that's another one. Okay, I guess he did have a drinking problem. He had a drinking problem in real life.
You don't, when you're an alcoholic, you still have one. You just have to learn to control it and stuff. And then what happened was he actually went on Dick Cavett and talked about it.
Okay.
And talked about drinking and talked about and talked about the 415 from Norwich going through somebody's house. But the thing was, he went on Dick Van Dyke, he talked about it. Yeah.
I don't know what was here.
It was on my end. It was a chair moving across the kitchen floor.
Okay. I thought it was someone in traffic honking.
A sheriff? What was it?
I thought it was someone in traffic honking, saying,
I thought
"Ah."
he said it was a sheriff moving across the kitchen floor.
Nope, a chair. And
A chair, I got you.
I couldn't hit the mute button fast enough. So that's
No, it's fine. I just thought it
I
was
was
funny.
speeding by a sheriff this morning, so I got away with it. But yeah.
Chitty chitty bang bangs honking. Right.
Anyway,
But,
meanwhile back in the conversation.
I remember him. I remember him doing that movie where he was the alcoholic and he wound up destitute on the beach. I do remember that. It's heartbreaking.
I think it was a TV movie. Seems like.
Yeah.
Well, he did a movie with Agent 99. Fitzwilly. Was it Fitzwilly?
Yeah, Fitzwilly. Fitzwilly is great. I love Fitzwilly.
That's where he plays a lovable thief. Yep.
Yep.
He did a Kevin Pollak chat show too. He's really good on that. Good interview with him.
Awesome.
What did he do?
He was on Kevin Pollak's show.
Yeah.
Well, he was on the Gilbert Godfrey podcast, which was.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's right.
You know,
both of them,
which I loved. You know, but yeah, I remember he had that quality about him. Like he could do that. You know, he could play drama and he could play straight.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember, the comic came out in '69. Okay, so the comic came out in '69.
'69,
Bang Bang came out.
That's when Cold Turkey. That's when they made. That's when they made.
He said '69.
That's when they made Cold Turkey, but it didn't come out until '72.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So let me
I
see.
think the first movie I ever saw in the theater was Mary Poppins. So I remember.
Oh, really?
Yep.
To this day, I get a dream sensation of floating up and down. I think it's from seeing that scene in Mary Poppins when they take off on the carousel like this.
Yeah.
I think, I'm sure as a 3-year-old or 4-year-old, however old I was, had left
it
impact.
freaked you out, man.
Yeah.
So he had another show come out in '71 called The New Dick Van Dyke Show.
Yeah, and did you ever see that syndicate, or was it pretty much only on that one day? Okay.
It was only on for 3 seasons, but he actually pulled the plug on it. He said, "I don't want to do it."
Okay.
But I remember I saw, he was an alcoholic businessman in the morning after, and that's when he revealed that he'd overcome a real life drinking problem for 25 years. Holy shit!
Wow.
Jesus.
Well, he had another variety show with Andy Kaufman we were talking about before.
Yep, Van Dyke and Company.
Van Dyke and Company. I remember seeing the last episode, over the end credits, they said, due to our Nielsen ratings, we've been canceled. And you hear Dick mumbling to himself, I guess I'll go get an ice cream cone or something. Yeah.
Wow.
It's like, okay, we'll show you, network,
I'll show you.
It's actually a pretty good variety. It was a pretty good variety show. Anyway.
I bet. So the original Dick Van Dyke Show, it runs for 5 years. It wins 15 Emmys, more than any at that time. In 2002, TV Guide incorporates it onto the 50 greatest shows of all time at number 13. It updates it in 2013 to a total of 60 shows, and it's number 20. What the hell, TV Guide? Well, you dropping rank here. 2 episodes are included by the Writers Guild of America as 100 greatest episodes of all time. And they place it at number 14 on one of the 101 best written TV shows. So it's remembered. I never saw any of the TV Guide specials that TV Land did in the early 2000s. Did any of you?
Yeah, I might have recorded a few of those.
It was like Ray Romano hosted one. And
yeah.
It was kind of meta because they called it the Alan Brady Show.
I got 100 greatest TV moments, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
It might have had the acorns coming out of the closet in that one.
Yeah.
Or the black.
The one thing I love is that
I think it was a black couple.
With
the baby, yeah.
I'll show you a baby.
But the one thing I love is that he's the only guy from the original Mary Poppins to appear in Mary Poppins Returns. Because he played Bert and Mr. Dawes in that movie, and then he played Mr. Dawes Jr., who was the son of the character that he played. Because remember, he says, "In the back," so he's he basically turns into he's the old guy. You know, he plays the old guy, and then he plays the old guy's son who's older now. You know, so that was really funny. You know, to see that.
Wild.
But I love the fact that they brought him back. They were gonna have Julie Andrews come back, but she couldn't. She didn't want to do it. You know, she'd been there, done that. You know. So I think that was really.
So what
You know,
year was that then? The Mary Poppins Return thing? Didn't you say something about Mary
what was
Poppins?
that, Gil?
Mary Poppins Returns? Didn't you say?
Not sure.
What year was
Yeah,
that?
he was in that.
Right, but he's asking me.
2016.
Oh, okay. So it wasn't that
You
long
know,
ago.
no, but he was. It was great to see him. You know, it was.
I think I remember the trailer, but yeah, I never saw the movie.
Who played her? Who played Mary Poppins in that?
Emily Blunt.
Emily Blunt. Okay, Frank Conniff.
Oh, that's right. Okay, yeah. Lin-Manuel Miranda was in that. Yeah.
Who looked just like Julie Andrews. You know. I mean, I saw when she walked in, she had the hat and the hat. I'm like, did they get Julie Andrews? I'm like, no, that's Emily Blunt. I'm like, holy shit! You know.
What, did you think they did some CGI or something?
I thought they did some CGI.
It wasn't uncommon at that time. You know, it was before Grand Moff Tarkin and Rogue One. You know, it's just.
Yeah.
It's 2018. Excuse me, 2018. It came out. So.
Right. Yeah, I remember seeing the trailer, but I never watched the movie.
But yeah, the one thing, then when that ended, you know, he does this, and then Mary Tyler Moore, I think, was doing. She did a change of habit with Elvis Presley. I remember that.
Oh, where at the end she decides between Jesus and Elvis.
Yeah.
Oh, she was going to become a nun. She was deciding on whether to become a nun. I haven't seen
That's the last shot of the movie. She's sitting and looking at Jesus and looking at Elvis on stage. Who do I? Yeah.
Who do I choose?
Well, you gotta do the thing with the
Hey, Mary, give me a sandwich, will you? Thank you very much.
All right. Cheeseburgers.
Just keep the nuns habit on. I got a dirty fantasy. Don't think of it.
Well, you know, some people think Elvis is God, so
yeah.
You know,
not quite.
But I will quote the great philosopher the late great Mojo Nixon. Elvis is everywhere.
Yeah.
I just played that yesterday in that book I was showing you. Yeah, that's amazing. I just played that song. First time I've ever heard it. It's funny. It's like 6 minutes long. It's a good song.
Awesome.
Best line from that, and the best front line was that we talked about the Bermuda Triangle. What is the what's going on the Bermuda Triangle? Elvis needs boats. No matter how many times I listen to that song, that always cracks me up.
Well, the thing that gets me the most is, do you remember Dick Van Dyke doing the commercials for Stop, Drop, and Roll?
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Oh my word.
And then he was doing toy commercials. Like he was showing you toy commercials. Like one of them was Shoots Away. It's on the internet somewhere. You got to find it. One of them is Shoots Away, and the other one was Hollywood Stunt Set, where you could it was like an old Western thing. So you could have like the guy fall down, you know, through the collapsible door, and you know, you pull the string back, and the guy goes through the part, you know, the double swing doors, you know. I mean, I can remember him doing those fire prevention commercials when I was a kid.
Or you don't run electric wires under the rug. I remember that.
Yeah. And remember, kids, put your hand, put the outer, put the outer side of your hand by a door. If it's hot, don't touch the knob. But if it's cool, open the door. Now remember, smoke rises up. Get near to the floor and crawl your way out. I remember just like thinking this. I was like, holy shit, you know. God forbid there's a fire, I'll just, you know, I'll know what to do because Dick Van Dyke told me what to do, you know.
That's just Hollywood talking. You gotta think of yourself, man.
Yeah, man, don't listen to what they gotta say because I don't. Yeah. Oh well, the fire prevention people are there. You know, I was like, oh man, that's bullshit.
Yeah, they're in the back pockets of Big Fire.
Fake news.
But you know, when you think about Mary Tyler Moore's show, and you think about what she was putting out at that time, her and Grant Tinker were like, you know, the bee's knees. I mean, it was like you got to think Gary Marshall, Norman Lear, right?
Yeah.
Who else? Bud Yorkin and Sal Turtleton. They were the guys that did What's Happened in Sanford and Son. And then you had Mary Tyler Moore. She had the Mary Tyler Moore Show, the Bob Newhart Show, WKRP in Cincinnati, Lou Grant. She had proven winners at that time. And she did Newhart too. When the cat would go meow like that.
Yeah.
And then after all that does so she does Ordinary People.
Yes.
Yes.
Where she's a cold, rotten.
That was
bitch.
actually the first role I ever saw her in, other than Dick Van Dyke, believe it or not. So, yeah, you want to talk reverse chronological order? That's kind of how I was introduced. So Tom and Gil, have you seen Tyler Moore's HBO Max documentary?
I have not.
I saw it listed, but I hadn't watched it.
I think you're gonna love it. Rob Reiner does a lot of the narration, and it felt qualified. Like, believe it or not, the director of the documentary, who had often done a lot of 30 for 30 type docs, became so interested in the subject matter. Like, he wanted to make sure, this wasn't as, passable. He really wanted to make sure that let's find the exact scene that all the interviewees are talking about and let's line it up while they narrate over it. Just don't. And it really is a good doc. It's not workmanlike. It's not just a lazy clip show. It really is very compelling.
What was the name of this again? Was it
Mary Tyler Moore doc?
So I think I remember seeing it, but I saw it on Amazon Prime, and I didn't watch it because you had to buy it if you wanted to watch it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So being Mary Tyler Moore, yes, 2020.
Yeah, okay.
I saw it. Yeah. So.
Yeah. I think I also love this because this is just like so vulnerable, and I do kind of like this. I would even say Mary Tyler Moore is probably a big opening up just to the feminist voice and everything too. Just that, because that was kind of the only voice you had prior to all the tough gal, TV shows, all the other Ally McBeal type office comedies. It's like so.
Well, she was also kind of like the first woman in the workplace kind of show, wasn't she?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I mean, they would talk about is like, you're my boss, but I actually care about you. Don't do that, and
yeah.
I don't think
there was that girl, which was kind of frivolous, and there was Julia with Diane Carroll, single mom.
Yeah.
Prior to that. But there's one thing. One of my favorite Dick Van Dyke ones. See if you remember this, JJ. Yiddy ups.
What?
Yiddy ups.
What was it?
Yiddy ups.
Oh God, I don't remember that shit.
They hear this weird sound. They're working late and they hear this yiddy ups in the building. And spend the entire episode trying to figure out what it is.
No one knows what it means.
You don't remember that one? Oh man.
Oh, I don't remember that.
It got kind of surreal for a Dick Van Dyke show. Yeah, I can't remember. It was some guy was experimenting with something on another floor. Well, they thought it was a flying saucer at one point.
Okay, yeah. They keep hearing that noise, and they find out some guy's like in another part of the building, and he just keeps making that noise all the time.
Well, I think it was like a little flying saucer that he created.
Yeah,
he flew it outside the building, so they did actually see a flying saucer. But there was a logical explanation. That was kind of a cool, off the wall episode. Right there in the Acorns in the Closet one too. And,
you know gets me the most though. Like when you think about like those shows that Mary Tyler Moore had as a production, they were ensemble shows.
Yes.
Yeah. They knew what they need to put together. Like if you look at Newhart, right? Mm-hmm. You have a great cast with, Bill Daly, Susan Plachette, who played the friggin' dentist, Jerry the dentist. He's the director later.
I can see him.
The woman who played
Peter Bonners.
Peter Bonners. You have Carol, the receptionist, played by
Marsha.
She was on
Wallace
as Krabappel or something.
Yeah,
Marsha.
And then you've got the greatest fucking asshole patient in the world, Mr. Carlin, because he was such a shit, but you loved him. I don't like you, and I don't like anybody about And that was Bill. That was who was that who played Mr. Carlin? Jesus, he played Mr. Carlin.
Been on other stuff too. I know. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I can't remember his name either, but
I'll get it. Wait, I'll get it. Hold on, Mr. Carlin.
That guy was in that thing.
Carlin.
I remember a nerdier old
Jack Riley.
Whoa!
And there was like a nerdier older patient too.
Yeah, that was John. He was the voice of Piglet.
Oh yeah,
really?
He was in Cold Turkey too, or no, not Cold Turkey. He was in Fitzwilly.
He was in Fitzwilly, but he always played kind of nerdy guys. He was also in Star Trek.
Yeah, he was the evil character.
Yeah, the wolf, the one where Ghost of Jack the Ripper.
Sure. I remember he had one of the strangest lines I've ever heard on TV, where he says, "I didn't want to get my wife a dress for Christmas. I didn't know what size, so I got her a stretch dress." It's like,
wow!
You just made this up. That's an actual line.
I love the one where he finds out one of the patients is gay, and he's like, what was, yeah, because he can't. He's like, oh no, don't worry, Dr. Harley, I'm not attracted to you. He's like, okay, it's no problem. He's like,
no problem.
But Mr. Carlin, Jack Riley's character, appears in Newhart. So a lot of people I know say that's the clue that Newhart is the dream.
Okay.
Because
that makes sense.
Mr. Carlin, because if Bob Hartley is dreaming about Mr. Carlin subconsciously, and the fact that the psychiatrist says, "Oh, who was the quack you saw in Chicago?" And then you're kind of thinking yourself, okay, so this kind of sets up everything for the ending of the show. But of course we know, but that's a big speculation. That's that scene where he pops up as Mr. Carlin.
How early in the show did he appear on Newhart?
Oh my God! It had to be maybe
I wasn't ready, man. I wasn't ready.
They came up with that ending probably that year for the show.
Yeah. Well, for the Newhart show, that came up in 89, 90, but he appeared, I think, maybe 2 seasons before that. But a lot of people think that's a little bit of a clue. Yeah. With Jack Riley showing up. They didn't even think of the thing up, but a lot of people, if I've noticed it, well, that's a little clue. That's a little clue, because how when he says the dream, but then they would go back. Everybody goes back, and they're like, "Oh, yeah." It's like watching the JFK tape. Oh, oh wait, no, that happened there. So I kind of think, yeah, they did it as a little tribute for Bob Newhart. The Bob Newhart show. But a lot of people said, no, that's the little trick. What's going to happen in the end.
I don't think they were thinking that far in advance for that ending.
No, I don't think so neither, to be honest with you. But I just keep thinking,
one of those happy accidents.
It wasn't planned, man. It just happened.
But I love the one on Murphy Brown where Marsha Wallace was the secretary. It was Carol, the secretary, and then Bob Newhart comes in and says, Carol, I need you back in the office. What's the matter, Bob? Well, everything's gone to the pot. Jerry doesn't know what to do, and the new secretary actually walked out within like 3 days, and I don't know. All my patients are like leaving, and they're coming. I don't know what to do. And like he says, I'll pay you double about what you got. I'll pay you triple. I'll pay you 4 times what you got. Okay, Bob, I'm going back to the office with you right now. that was great too. And then you had WKRP, which was, I think, one of the best casts put together.
Absolutely.
You've got Tim Reed, Howard Hessman, John Bonner.
No relation.
Frank Bonner.
Yeah.
Who was the one that played Les Nessman?
Frank Bonner. Frank Bonner.
Frank Lesman was played by
Les Nessman.
Richard Sanders.
Richard Sanders. You've got Howard Hessman as Dr. Johnny Fever. You've got who is it? Lonnie Anderson and
Baby
girl.
Jan Smithers.
Jan Smithers, yeah.
Jan Smithers. So that whole thing was that thing is a great ensemble too, and that was based off of FM, kind of in a way. Have you ever seen the movie FM?
Yeah, I think it's better than FM.
I think it's way better than FM. FM was good, but
FM was
and here's the thing about
FM radio is amazing, man. Oh, different one. My bad.
and here's the thing about KRP that people don't realize: the creator says that everything that happened in the shows actually happened, or when he had somebody tell him about things that happened.
With the turkey being dropped out of
so became part of the show.
Yeah.
Oh, the turkey drop? Jesus, that's a Thanksgiving given. That's a given on Thanksgiving, you know.
Yeah,
I swear to God.
But those are all true stories, or at least he said they were true. So
partially inspired. Yeah.
My favorite though is the one where they give Johnny a drunk test on the air and he gets better.
Yes.
And then Herb is the WKRP carp is a big fish, and he gets in a fight in a men's room with the WPIG pig.
Yeah,
They also have a shot of him crawling under the door because he doesn't have a dime to pay to get in the bathroom. There's this big fish head under the bathroom door. It's just, it's a great episode.
Kind of got a kick out of the no bra 70s.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
We'll return after these messages.
If you like small town mystery, crazy news, and wild history, then the Florida Men on Florida Man podcast is for you. Each week, Josh Mills and Wayne McCarty bring you the absolute best Florida has to offer. So if you're looking for a show that's safe for the family, but funny enough to help you escape everyday life, then listen to the Florida Men on Florida Man podcast. That's Florida Men, plural, on Florida Man podcast.
Hey, it's Brent Pope, the host of Breakfast with Brent Pope. You've seen me on some of your favorite TV shows saying things like, "Give it up, Jimmy. You got to sink this putt to win." On Breakfast with Brent Pope, I sit down with guests from the entertainment world, and we do it all over breakfast. Or should I say Brentfast? Every week on Brentfast, you get inside Hollywood info and tips, great breakfast wrecks and foodie debates. Most of all, you get the most delightful 30 minutes of your week. So dig in. It's Brentfast time. Listen at Brentfast.com, Apple Podcasts, or wherever fine podcasts are found.
There was also a couple very special episodes that were actually very good on that show, like the one about the Who tragedy.
Yes, that was good.
And the one where Venus, they find out he left the army.
Yeah.
Those are really, really good dramatic episodes, and they had more than a couple. Yeah,
you got to watch the one where Venus Flytrap is in this closet with this gang member, right? He doesn't want to go to school. He teaches him about the atom.
That one made me cry. That was really good.
Tim Reed is that Venus Flytrap comes on as some cool funky guy, but he is smart.
Yeah,
he is smart, and I don't care what Tim Reed I could listen to Tim Reed, talk about particle field. I'd be like, oh yeah, man, I get it now, But that's the thing. It was all these double these you find out Herb Tarr he may be he's a womanizer, but he really loves his wife Lucille, and Gordon Jump's character is maybe this great station, but he's really afraid of his mother,
True.
And and that's what made there was a lot of dualities in the thing. That's what made Mary Tyler Moore show so good. Murray Slaughter, great newsman, but the episode where he calls up the station to complain about them cutting a scene out of the Marx Brothers movie Animal Crackers. And he gets it, he says, well, you tell the station manager, the station manager's like, well, who said what about the, and then, you find out that, Ted Knight's character, Ted Baxter, looks as well, but he's a stupid idiot.
Well, that's Ted Knight in every movie.
But I mean, the thing with
I was very good in Caddyshack.
And a 5,000-watt radio station in Fresno, California.
Frank Caliendo used to do a perfect Ted Knight impression.
Yes.
I love his line in Caddyshack. I love his line in Caddyshack where he goes, "Don't you have homes?"
Don't you have?
That might be my favorite line in the whole movie.
I love that movie, and that's before he does his bizarre fight.
season to grin when your ship comes in and you've got the stock market beat. But the man who's worthwhile is the man who can smile when his pants are too tight to seat. Chris in the boat, Pookie. Chris in the boat, Pookie.
How about the one where Lou? How about the episode where Lou gets along with Ted because he's the only one that visited him in the hospital? He had like a gallbladder stone or something removed.
Oh my Lord!
Ted made a paperweight out of it, and then he gets on the air and says, well, "My boss was in the hospital to remove this," and he holds up the paperweight. Like, and then you see Lou Grant's hands reaching off camera. Those are and like Bart and Homer, you know.
Yeah, with the Mary Tyler Moore, like I said, I went the first episode of each season, and there was one episode where they team him up with the guy from Good Times,
Don Amos.
Don Amos,
who just passed away.
Rest in peace.
Rest in peace, John.
But,
Gordy the Weatherman.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, he was on there.
But yeah, so they were trying to like do some damage control with him by putting him as a co-host with Amos's character.
Yep.
And it just snowballed and went off the rails from there.
I love the episode where he's doing the news. This just handed to me. You have something on your teeth.
Do you guys also know the original lyrics for Dick Van Dyke Show?
No.
No.
So you think that you got trouble? Well, trouble's a bubble. So tell old Mr. Trouble to get lost. Why not hold your head up high and stop crying, start trying, and don't forget to keep your fingers crossed. When you find the joy of living is loving and giving, you'll be there when the winning dice are tossed. A smile is just a frown that's turned upside down. So smile, and that frown will defrost. And don't forget to keep your fingers crossed. That's
a great way to get an instrumental.
Yeah, it's just that kind of deal.
I think I'd rather hear the lyrics.
Actually got royalties for that, correct? Even though they didn't have the.
I think so. I don't know.
Star Trek,
but,
you know, too, that you never heard.
Yeah, Roddenberry played dirty tricks.
Well, you want to know something really weird? The guy who wrote the theme song for Mary Tyler Moore was one of the Crickets, Sonny Curtis.
Whoa!
And there's two versions of that song.
Yeah.
How will you make it on your? Who can turn the world on with her smile? Because that was the later one. Says, how will you make it on your own? That was the first like maybe 2 seasons.
Yep.
And then after that, it was who can turn the world on with her smile? Who can take a nothing day and suddenly make it all seem worthwhile? Because it's you, girl, and you should know it. Every little movement and glance that you show it. Love is all around. Don't need to take it. You can have it around. Why don't you take it? Husker Du did a version of that song on one of their EPs.
Sweet.
Love is all around. I thought it was I'm like, wait a minute, hang on. And then I heard it on The Real World when they just played it as like background music. I'm like, holy crow! And I realized Husker Du's from Minnesota, which is where WJM is. WJM station manager. I wanted to get a WJM T-shirt like a couple years ago just to wear it around the office. Just to be like, what's WJM? Oh, that's where Ted Baxter is. And Lou Grant and Murray Slaughter and Sue Ann Nivens and Mary Richards. And people will be looking at me going, what the fuck? What planet are you on?
What's he talking about?
Isn't there a scene in the opening credits where she's grocery shopping and kind of looks at into the way
tosses it back
into the basket like I can't believe I'm paying this for that. I think the Rockford Files, Garner does the same thing. I think he was.
Oh, Mike Post was taking notes.
Yeah, a little reference to that in the credits. Yeah.
Do you know who was on that show that was supposed to play Ted Baxter, but they didn't want? Was Jack Cassidy. Jack Cassidy played Ted Baxter's brother, and Ted just hates him. But the one I love is Eric Braden. Eric Braden shows up as a newscaster who's a real egotistical asshole.
Eric Braden he's the soap guy, right? He's in a soap.
Yep, Young and the Restless. He was also in episode MST 3K, known as
Codename Diamond Head.
And
Oh
he
my
was in
god!
and he's
then
in a
he's
Planet of the
also
Apes movie.
he's also in Escape
good.
from the Planet of the Apes. He plays the doctor.
Wow.
But Eric Braeden is his real name. His real name was something else. He just changed it because if he's on Rat Patrol, it's a different name.
Yeah,
But
yeah. He was in Den of Thieves for Gerard Butler recently. Yeah, shit.
yeah. But
And he's
Older than dirt, but yeah, I always knew him as that
Yeah.
German guy from Colossus, Rat Patrol.
you're saying he was playing Ted Baxter's brother?
he was no, that was Jack Cassidy.
Oh, okay.
He
Jack
played
Cassidy.
he played Ted, like he basically was a bigger asshole than Ted. But at the end,
Someone has to do
like,
it.
but at the end, he's like, I don't like you, and Sue Ann Nivens gives him a pie, and she's like, she goes, Sue Ann, don't do it. And then Ted Baxter comes along and goes like this, just takes the pie and shoves it right in his face. You got to watch it.
And on a side note, does anybody really believe that Jack Cassidy would do comedy willingly?
He did do He and She. For that one season.
That was probably just to get laid, though. I don't know.
Yeah, he never
Pretty
really struck
woman.
me as somebody who could do comedy. He took himself way too seriously, I felt.
Yeah,
Isn't that every soap star, though? To be fair.
No, Jack Cassidy was a Broadway star, but
guy. But...
he did take himself. He was just a real jerk. My mom's cousin was at a TV taping one time back in the 50s or the 60s.
Oh,
I don't
my
know
word.
what it was. But she said she wanted to get Jack Cassidy's autograph, and he just went, "I don't give autographs. Go away." And Bill Cullen came over and said, "Do you want an autograph?" And she like she nodded her head. He's like, "I'll give you my autograph." And Bill Cullen signed her autograph. But Jack Cassidy was just a real asshole. And when he died, he died. He died smoking in bed. He was smoking in bed and dropped a cigarette and burned himself up. Yeah.
I had to look up his picture because I couldn't remember him. But
way to go out in
I
style,
recognize
man.
him.
Burn, baby, burn.
David looked like him. If you see older pictures of David Cassidy looked like his father. And
David Cassidy's his son?
Yep.
I didn't know that.
As is Sean Cassidy.
Sean Cassidy, yes.
Yeah. David Cassidy's his son with his first wife. Okay. They got divorced. He married Shirley Jones. Yeah. Shirley Jones and him had Sean, and there was another kid that they had. So they had three kids. What?
Cassidy? No.
Skippy.
Cassidy. I knew it was at some gunfight somewhere down there.
Yeah, that's how we got the cartoon deal.
Butch Cassidy was some of his kids, yeah. But the thing that blows my mind is like if when
how about
you
instead
watch
of a Sundance Kid, how about the Gun Dance?
The Gun Dance kids, the Gun Dance kids.
They are the NRA.
Oh,
now we're getting into anime.
But I think my favorite one of my favorite moments is like Ted tells Murray a knock joke. Says, "Hey, you want to hear a knock joke?" "Yes." "No, Ted, I don't want to hear a knock joke." "Knock." "Okay, Ted, who's there?" "Anna Maria." "Anna Maria who?" "I don't know, but I'll get back to you on it." Right. So at the end, they're sitting at the bar, right? And
oh my word.
You want to hear a joke? You want to hear a joke, Lou? "No, Ted, don't tell him the joke, Ted." Lou's
That's almost like a precursor to the what's it called? It's almost like you want to hear an annoying noise in Dumb and Dumber.
Yeah. So Ted tells the joke. He's like, "And knock. Who's there, Ted?" "Anna Maria." "Anna Maria who?" "Anna Maria Albagetti, get me a taxi, honey, and I'll meet you down." And they start singing this old song, and I know that song. "Hey, honey, won't you meet me downstairs in the So Anna Maria Albagetti, get me in a taxi with me, honey. That's a joke. That's the knock joke. And he's like, and him and Mary start singing the song together.
Wow.
So it shows you, it shows you like there's the comedy and then there's the serious part of comedy where you get the joke at the end, like what he meant by that, But I just think that show was just so good. And then the ending, the last episode, when they start singing "It's a Long Way to Tipperary,"
Yeah.
and they're all crowded each other crying. Somebody
They have
has
to
get
reach
the
for a
tissues.
tissue.
They have to reach for tissue, and they all just like walk over to the desk and grabs the tissue. You know?
And Ted's the only one that doesn't get fired.
Ted's the only one who doesn't get fired.
Do you remember the one where Ted and Mary were on the road for something, and he's married to Georgette, and a woman's coming on to him, and he's trying to get Mary to talk him out of it, and she tells Ted that you will burn in hell if you do that. She didn't care. She didn't care that much about that. Yes, you're not going to do that. You will burn in hell.
No one messes with me.
Yeah.
Oh God. Oh.
So, who do you like more, Mary or Dick?
Mary.
That's a personal question, don't you think?
I'm a personal
Mary.
guy, Tom. I'm a personal guy.
I like Mary a lot better. Mary had, even though Reiner created that series, and it's the standout series for him.
He went above and beyond the page.
He went, Mary went above and beyond that.
I can't imagine anyone else in either role. Like,
Well,
there
was a reason why her show lasted 2 years longer than Dick Van Dyke's show.
Why?
Better PR.
Yeah, well, the cast.
When your husband's the president of CBS programming, yeah.
I'll slap you into shape. You're not canceling my show.
It wasn't because of talent?
No, the talent too. The talent, no. Yeah, Grant Tinker was
now you make me want to use that SpongeBob thing. No talent, no
I
talent.
think the head of programming at CBS at that time, and they were like the power couple.
Back when they actually wanted sitcoms instead of just nonstop.
Yeah.
Who killed who?
But that's what it was. There was that thing where, but the thing was, Mary knew when to stop. That was the thing. She started out with the long hair, and the mini dress, it's that, and the famous, you've got spunk. I hate spunk.
That was the first episode, yep.
I hate spunk. Yeah.
And she said, we're gonna stop it here, and that's it. That's all we're gonna stop here.
That's what I really loved about the documentary is like, see those tears when they're all saying goodbye, those were real. It wasn't just them acting.
Yeah,
because
it wasn't just that. But the thing I always loved too is like when they would do like the Love Boat or something like that, they would Gavin McLeod was of course Captain Stubing, and he jumped. They put him on. But the thing was, if you watch the episodes, like sometimes they would have Ted Knight on, they'd have Georgette on, they'd have I know that Ed Asner didn't do it because he was doing Luke Grant at the time, but they would Georgette on. They would have somebody who did a guest shot on the show. But that's funny because there's one episode where Ted Knight plays the captain of one ship and Gavin McLeod's the captain of the Princess, and it's like and they're doing like a dog race, right? They're doing like a dog race, and it's like all of a sudden I'm watching, I'm like thinking to myself, oh, this looks really fun. Holy shit! Wait, it's Murray Slaughter and Ted Knight. I'm like,
wow.
A dramatic Love Boat where you find out Stubing had a drinking problem at one time,
and he did in real life.
Okay.
He did in real life. He talked about it. He said, "Yeah, I was an alcoholic," and that was the episode where they had the class reunion, and Raymond Burr was the
who else are you gonna call
English teacher who everybody loved, but he was a drunk. And he basically Stubing tells the story about how one night he was drunk and he was driving to the ship, and he almost hit a little boy in the street.
Yeah.
And he got on the boat, and he said that day I decided to sober up, and it was a really good episode, But the thing is great though is like, you watch Mary Tyler Moore for those seasons it was on, you can tell it gels, it gels. Same thing with Dick Van Dyke, it gels. Everything gels.
But that ensemble cast for Mary Tyler Moore, there was a reason they all spun off into their own shows for so many of them.
Right.
Yeah, because the success that they had as a group, they could carry on solo wise,
Yeah.
Lou Grant had a great cast. Ted Knight had a good cast. The Ted Knight Show, then Too Close for Comfort had a good cast.
And there's the well, yeah.
Phyllis was a great cast.
Doesn't
Rhoda.
every sitcom have a Phyllis though?
Well, here's the Phyllis. I love the beginning. They sing this song. Phyllis, Phyllis, it sure isn't you. And she just looks at the camera like, you assholes.
Yeah. I'll tell you what. Yeah.
But you look at Rhoda. Rhoda was on for like 5 seasons, and I love Rhoda. Because Rhoda reminds me of this girl I went to school with, Julie Deitch. Because Julie would always wear like something on her head, like a schmuck, like that thing that Rhoda would do. And I said, Julie, you're like Rhoda. And she looked at me, she says, what? I said, you're like Rhoda. She's like, what are you talking? Like, I would come up with like these like really weird. You guys don't know this. I'd come up with like these pop culture references for people. And I'd be like, you're like Rhoda.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I said, ask your mom about Rhoda with Valerie Harper. Oh, you mean the woman who was on the Harper, the Hogan? No. Ask her about Rhoda.
Just do it.
And just do it. And this is before she says, you remind me of Rhoda. And she's like, oh, okay. So I said to her mother, I said, Mrs. Deitch, your daughter reminds me of Rhoda sometimes. You think so? Yeah, I know so.
She said it that way. No, thanks so.
Yeah.
And in Rhoda, she was moving back to New York, right?
Yep. So she was moving back to New York, and Julie Kavner played her sister, Brenda.
And Lorenzo Music played Carlton the doorman.
It's just Carlton, I'm your 24-hour doorman.
Oh, I forgot about Carlton. Yeah, didn't he do like Garfield or something too?
He was the voice of Garfield.
Music, yep.
Wow.
And he created Rhoda with Lorenzo Music, because if you look, it's like created by Lorenzo Music, and I think it was Babalu Mandel or something like that, or Lowell Gans and him did it. Yeah. So the great thing is, you got Lorenzo Lamas playing, Carlton, and I found out there was a Carlton cartoon that came out.
What?
I have a
first reference here.
Yeah, there was.
Wow.
Carlton, your doorman.
Yeah.
I remember there was an episode where Mary got a new friend, and Rhoda was Jewish.
Yeah.
And she finds out her friend is anti-Semitic.
Yes.
And of course, you know that we're okay with this, and she pretty much told her to get lost by the end of the episode. That was kind of a good episode.
Oh God, I remember that.
And that's why, again, that's like you guys have been pointing out. I love when sitcoms can just bring out uncomfortable stuff and just say, "Hey, that's never okay."
Well, I didn't like the one from Different Strokes.
Well. But I mean, think of Fresh Prince of Bel-Air when he meets his dad
Mr.
finally.
Carlson.
I love
Mr. Carlson was a perv.
Well, that's what you get when you had the monkey on your foot.
Oh my God.
That's a WKRP reference, kids.
Oh, I love it.
I think the thing I've loved the most is like when I've watched Rhoda, like I remember like the beginning was, my name is Rhoda Morgenstern. I was born, my mother said that the Second World War would happen because of me. And then they show her as a teenager, little girl and a teenager growing up. And the thing with Rhoda's the really first body, like the first woman who has like body dysmorphia. Because if you remember, she was really heavy as a kid. Mm-hmm. She's really heavy as a kid, and then she thins out. And she keeps thinking she's fat. And then what happens when she enters a beauty contest and she takes like first place? She's like, Mary, that's the first time anyone said I was beautiful. And I'm like sitting there, I'm like, my heart's breaking because I'm like, holy shit, I can't believe this.
It just reminds you of sexism in the workplace.
No, it reminds you of what some people are just downright assholes.
Well, that's what I mean. But but also just the whole, just acting like you are any lesser because you haven't received a certain compliment. And it's just like, no, you can still live. You can still exist and be happy. And I do find it interesting just looking at just any jokes that are made about appearances nowadays, because we've all had that at some capacity. We've had someone just say something just so shitty, and you're like, really?
You're making me think of Married with Children now.
Yeah.
Yeah, that wouldn't fly today.
No,
probably not.
No, but I love the beginning of Rhoda when I moved to New York City. My mother still thinks of this as the time I ran away from home, and I moved to Minneapolis because I think I keep well in the cold weather. I mean, that's great. That's good sense of humor there, But Rhoda was great. Lou Grant was great. Betty White's show was great. It was only for one season. You got to think. It's the whole. It's this thing about gelling.
Yes.
And you can tell when a cast gels, and you can tell a cast doesn't gel.
Mm-hmm.
And Mary Tyler Moore and the thing is, Mary Tyler Moore had that in two spots. She had it with Dick Van Dyke, and she had it with her show.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the great thing about it. The cast gelled together,
Yes.
But you guys know the story about she was worried about Mary Tyler Moore the Mary Tyler Moore show being canceled or getting low ratings. You know why?
Mm-hmm.
They thought people would think that Laura Petrie had divorced Rob Petrie and moved out on her own.
Yes.
Yeah,
they were going to make her character divorce, but not that.
Well, they brought in the episode, the first episode, about a boyfriend that she's leaving because she waited for 2 years for him to propose.
Yeah. And I remember, that I remember, and Lou shows up drunk at her apartment, typing a letter.
Because he misses his wife.
Yeah. Oh man. That to me is like the best age of the 19th. That's what I miss about television. Every sitcom now. I mean, Young Sheldon, Big Bang Theory, those worked. Seinfeld worked. But you can all trace it back.
Seinfeld was the 90s,
What?
So, well, it's just like
80s
they were
was
the perfect shows for the times they were in.
Yeah.
That's the other thing you got to remind everyone too, is like a sitcom served a purpose back then. And sometimes we risk getting into that where it's like, well, yes, this exists, but are you really going to remember it when it's all said and done?
It's like when you have
didn't Betty Ford go up on a Mary Tyler Moore episode?
Didn't who?
Betty Ford.
Betty Ford?
Betty Ford, maybe?
I think she might have, yeah.
Yeah. I think it had something to do
Walter
with
Cronkite.
And,
I know Walter Cronkite.
Johnny Carson too, but I think there was a power outage. You just heard his voice.
I'm
not mistaken.
Yeah.
Maybe that was.
But Walter. I love the one where Walter Cronkite. Ted meets. Walter, you want to talk about shop? I'm going this way. And I think Walter Cronkite goes, "Who is that guy?" I just love doing Ted Maxter's thing. It all began for me at a 50,000 watt radio station in Fresno, California. I'll just start saying that. Oh God. Oh man.
And Murray couldn't stand him, but I think there's a couple times where Murray you could tell Murray really liked Ted deep down or something.
Yeah. He
snuck in there.
That's the thing with Murray. Murray would just be a sarcastic knob to him, but he did like Ted. He liked Ted, and even Ted would mispronounce something like such a simple word, and like Murray would be like, "Oh God, he did it again." If you watch
I just remember the Sue Ann Nivens, the Christmas party when they were all mad at each other. And he's trying to get him to sing, and Lou just goes, trying to get him to sing 12 Days of Christmas, and Lou just goes, 3 French hens.
3 French hens.
And then it ends near the end. Georgette breaks into Silent Night when they're all
fighting. And everybody stops.
Yeah.
But I love the episode where Sue Ann cheated with Phyllis's husband Lars, and she's like, how nice and ladylike to and she turns around. I've got a souffle. I got a souffle baking in the oven, and like Phyllis turns around, just slams the door like 5 times, and then Betty White comes over, just lifts up her knee and boom, hits the oven with her.
And that's just it.
You never saw Lars, did you? That was one of those.
No, Lars was off camera.
Yeah,
and then you find out later he died.
So that was kind
Because
of
when
a
they moved to
precursor to Home Improvement, doing the next door neighbor.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You never saw his entire.
Never
face.
saw it.
Yeah.
It's up to the
Somebody
imagination.
say, "Oh, you saw us." No, you don't. You never see.
You really don't. Can you name the actor? No, you can't. Yeah.
Well, I know I know what he looks like. I've seen him in things, but I can't think of what they are offhand right now.
Yeah.
That
like his eyes. You never saw his entire face. Yeah.
Who was the other? There's another fan. I mean, it kind of reminds me of how like you never saw Frasier's wife Phyllis for the longest time, and then you did finally see her, but for the longest time it was kind of up to the imagination.
Oh, Niles.
Niles' wife.
That's what it was. Yes,
you never saw Niles' wife.
Niles' wife. Yes, sorry.
But you would Maris. You'd never seen Maris for the longest time, but he would always tell you things like, "And you know how Maris is when she doesn't eat for 5 hours." And you'd be like, "Who the fuck did he marry?"
Right?
Well, and then he
from hell.
He gets a dog, and the dog is reminding everybody in his family of Maris.
Yeah,
because it's a thin, like greyhound dog.
Oh, I related it to it a lot because one of my uncles married someone who was, from hell, and it was one of those like to torture us. She wouldn't let him come over to our house. Just total sociopath. And he found out way too late she doesn't actually like you, and like if he was doing anything for his own enjoyment, she's like, you got to throw that away. So yeah, just terrible person. So that wasn't funny though, but I think sitcoms were a good way of just kind of, they didn't downplay it, but they just made light of everybody has that one member no one ever even wants to talk about. And instead of even hiring an actor to play it, is like, it's almost like the briefcase in Pulp Fiction. It works because it's left to your imagination. It can be whatever you want.
Yeah.
And you never saw Mrs. Columbo either.
No, you never saw Mrs. Columbo.
That was a crime show.
Until her spinoff.
Yeah, she had a spinoff. So we did see her eventually.
They did see Mrs. Columbo, but then they changed it
to... They just tried to distance themselves from that. They didn't like it.
Yeah,
it became theories that she didn't exist, and he just did that as a conversation thing. But there's times during the series where she has to be real. Yeah.
There's an episode of Columbo. Remember they were doing this? But there's an episode of Columbo where she died.
What?
Supposedly.
No. There's an episode of Columbo. He says you need to go. They say you need to go to the hospital. Your wife's not feeling well. And he stops and he goes, and then the next scene they cut, it's a funeral, and you see him just sitting there in a suit, and it's like you see the coffin getting lowered in, and you're like, wait, she was real all along.
Yeah.
It's
I
like
think by the end of it, that was a fake and it was a twist at the end. I remember. I don't think she actually died.
Maybe Mrs. Columbo was the friends we made along the way.
Yeah. We're talking about fictional characters here.
She's not real.
They do a twist at the end of that episode where they were trying to set somebody up, I think.
And Miss Columbo, that was Kate Mulgrew, wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
Oh,
and
wow.
They changed it to Kate Loves a Mystery because that's what they did. Because you got to think, what the hell is Kate Mulgrew married to Peter Falk for?
That's a funny story. Yeah, just one more.
That's a funny story, and I gotta say one thing.
Just one more thing. You see, the thing was, she was wearing pants at the time.
Oh, God. Asking this generation how many have actually seen Columbo and how many just know him from the meme. Well, you see, you were very close, but just one more question.
Whenever he turn around, he's just about to leave. He says, "Oh, that's what you got, sir. Okay, fine." He's just about to watch it. Just one more thing, and then you just go, "Oh shit!" He nailed the guy right there. just one more thing. You're telling me that camera, that arrow was pointed and that from the way it was fired, it came through the back, not the front. So
Just
from
the
what
facts,
I saw,
man. Oh wait, different show.
That
My
makes
bad.
perfect
You know.
sense. That makes perfect sense. I think I'll go. Oh, one more thing. Why was there an ostrich there? I can't figure out where the ostrich came from.
why was there a dildo up his ass? Can I ask a question? I just want to know why.
Just the facts, ma'am.
Google does Columbo's wife die? They'll explain it.
All right. Okay.
Yeah.
So, all right. So, the thing I got to say about
It's
when
because
we've been talking about marriage,
they executed Order 66. Wait, my bad.
yeah,
Wrong movie.
when
It's like the
I can
Marvel
remember that
universe,
show.
nobody ever
That show.
died.
Yes and no. If you want them to, sure.
The thing I got to say about when you watch Mary Tyler Moore and you watch Dick Van Dyke and you watch all these shows from the 70s that were, on for a couple of seasons, you got to think the writing was good, the casting was good.
Absolutely.
I think Lou Grant is a great show to watch. I'm still trying to look for it somewhere.
How
If
long
it's
have
streaming somewhere.
I'd be wondering
I
how
think
long
Lou
Lou
Grant-
Grant ran for.
I think maybe 4 years.
3
to 4 years, maybe. I don't know. I keep thinking 3 to 4 years. But I do remember the guy who was the reporter on that show, Mike Walden was his name. He's the one report. What?
Rossi?
What? Who?
His character's name was Rossi.
Rossi. Yeah. He's the guy who speaks with like the Brooklyn accent.
Yeah.
Don't they all?
Yeah.
Just kidding.
Well, there's also he partnered up with a guy named Martini, I think.
Martini and
Not to
Rossi.
date
Got it.
reference kids.
But the thing is, I just saw him in a movie called The Hospital with George C. Scott.
Nice.
Where George C. Scott plays the head of the head of the hospital, and he's explaining to him what's going on, and you just hear that voice, and you're like, that guy was on Lou Grant. I remember that. He's one of those guys like if you saw him, you knew who he was, like right off the top of your head, But I can remember, that show was great, and then you had the Betty White show was good. And Betty White could come up with some real put downs at people,
she could be sour one minute and then risque the next. You never knew.
Did you guys ever see the Hot in Cleveland where they had like the mini reunion of?
I didn't see that one, but I did hear about it.
Show.
I did see all the episodes of Hot in Cleveland, but it's been several years.
They walk into a restaurant and it's Georgette. I think Valerie Harper's with them. I think Cloris Leachman was with them too. And
Georgette shows up as a semi-regular on Hot in Cleveland, didn't she?
Yeah. She was also on Everybody Loves Raymond as Raymond's as whatchamacallit, as Brad Garrett's mother-in-law.
You gotta say it like it, Brad.
Don't you think there's something weird about that family? And Fred Willard's the husband. I love that. It's Fred Willard and her, and then the son is Chris Elliott.
Yeah.
And I was just like, holy shit, this is great.
That's a messed up family right there.
But the thing I love about that is they go and they say, oh, we had to see an old friend of ours, and the menu pulls down and there's Mary Tyler Moore. And what you find out later is she was legally blind at that point.
Yes,
because her diabetes had taken over, kind of took over her life, and it was sad. I remember hearing her pass away. I was like, "What the?"
It was a sad day. I was just like, "Really, TV legend, another one gone." Shit.
Yeah.
I think I do like having these conversations though, because you do have to remind everybody, hey, just because they're so electric and larger than life on screen doesn't mean they're still not human. And not all celebrities are assholes, not all of them are, crazy or, and not all of them act like aliens, from another universe. Some of them are just down to earth, just very cool people. And
I met Ed Asner in real life.
Oh man,
I met Ed Asner about maybe.
He was doing all kinds of like festival short films. I saw some people who would even convince him, and he he was fine even taking a pay cut or just working out a deal with his agent. He's like, sure,
Well,
I'll do it.
the thing that gets me is he was Cosgrove on Freakazoid.
Right.
He had
He
a
was
great
Hugh
voice.
Cosgrove.
Yeah.
Hey, Freakazoid, want to go to the Great Hall of Spackle? Do I?
When he didn't die too long ago, did he? Because
He died about 3 years ago.
Because I know I remember seeing it. Wasn't he in like Cobra Kai? As
He was in
what's his
Cobra
name?
Kai. He played Johnny's father.
Okay,
Right.
2021
Played his stepdad.
at
Played his
age
stepdad.
21. Yes. All right.
No, he was
Yeah.
no,
Yeah.
2021 he died.
That's what I
Yeah,
just said.
right.
2021 at
Yeah.
age 91.
Yeah, and he played Johnny's stepdad. Yeah, because I
Yeah.
was friends with Matthew Asner on Facebook, and I remember I went up to him at a
son?
thing. That's his son, yeah, and he had some great pictures of Ted Knight and Gavin McLeod. When they're all backstage. There's a great picture of it's Ted Knight and Ed Asner, like on a boat somewhere, and they're just sitting there in deck chairs, just being cool with each other and stuff like that. And I mean, that shows you how much he loved his castmates and stuff, And I remember when Betty White when Betty White passed away, or was it Cloris? He said something. He said, oh no, he said, Cloris Leachman. He said, "Don't worry, I'll be up there soon with you guys."
Oh man.
Like he knew he was going to pass away. Yeah.
That's big.
Yeah.
That's loyal.
Yeah.
That's like, I gotta join my friends.
Yeah, because Betty was the last cast member still alive at that point, from what I remember. Yeah, because she died
Yeah.
2021.
Well, isn't Mary Tyler Moore still
December
alive?
3rd.
No, Mary Tyler Moore
No.
died a while back.
Did she?
Yeah.
John Amos is about the last regular cast.
Mary died in 2017 at age 80. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think John Amos was the last cast member to pass away.
Well, he's only on for like one season.
But still,
That's a good point.
Cast.
So Ben Dyke, he was
more.
born in 25 and he's now 98. I can't believe it.
Wow.
Who, John Amos?
No. Dick Van Dyke is now 98.
Oh yeah.
I'm like,
But
man.
I think the thing that gets me the most is, you think about even with, All in the Family had a couple of great spinoffs, and a couple of them were good. You had Good Times, you had the Jeffersons, you had Maude, you had Gloria,
and then you had then it became Archie Bunker's Place.
Place, yeah.
Yes.
Which was good for
I'm so glad we covered the
on.
Norman Lear's universe, because that is a maze. It's like they come here and visit each other, they're all neighbors,
Also bizarre that Lou Grant's publisher was Tony Soprano's mom.
Yeah, Nancy Marchand. Yep.
She had to put up with all kinds of shit.
Well, they had an episode where she had a stroke, and she was like trying to speak again, and stuff. But I can remember Mason Adams being the guy who was like not the head of the paper. He was he was like, Lou Grant was the editor, but he was like the guy above Lou Grant, right? And I can remember Mason Adams being in, I think it was All the President's Men.
Oh wow!
But yes,
I can remember which one did he play? Like,
I don't. I know that
he's in there somewhere as like one of the operatives.
Yeah, but I know that Jason Robards played the guy who was the Washington Post editor, Bill Brantley. And what happened was down the road, I would be watching commercials and I hear Smucker's brand is, I was like, wait a minute, that's the guy on Lou Grant doing that voice.
He's on a lot of Mason Adams is on a lot of CBS radio mystery theaters too from the 70s.
Yeah.
Which I listened to.
He had that,
I gotta listen to those again. That it was on and off sometimes, but there's some really scary episodes.
I bet.
Yeah.
When you got that voice and you had all the spooky music, it's like.
Well, he had that old timey, that old timey,
like somebody It's a Wonderful Life. Yeah.
Yeah, like he had that old timey New England, Vermont-ish kind of accent, about him, mid-Atlantic, that kind of thing,
Our
That's
town.
what made him a good. Yeah, like that.
Yep.
Ugh,
The greats.
God.
Cherish them, honor them, remember them.
Obey them.
Obey them. Obey them.
Obey them, they are your gods.
I was just watching the Venture Brothers the other night, and it was the one where the Galactic Inquisitor comes. The Observer comes out. Obey me.
Ignore me.
Ignore me. And then the baby comes. Did somebody lose a baby? Anybody? Anyone? Anyone lose a baby? Ignore me.
Ignore me.
Have you seen the last episode of that? They did a movie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I saw it.
I haven't seen the movie yet.
I was not disappointed.
Was it kind of like the Aqua Team Hunger Force movie?
No, it was a lot better. I think what they did was they just basically they were like, all right, let's give them what they want, and they did a good job doing it. I liked
wrapping some stuff up.
Yeah, and I think the thing I loved about it too was the way they had friggin' whatchamacallit, the guy who played J.K. Simmons dressed up as Obi-Wan Kenobi, like he looked like Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Oh yeah, he was the guy who worked with Jonas Venture.
Yeah, Jonas Venture, and you see him. He comes. He's like Obi-Wan Kenobi. And I'm like, what the? Wait. Okay, I get the. I get the reference.
I get it now. Playing tricks on me.
But yeah, that's what I loved about. I loved the last episode of the Venture Brothers. Yeah. Oh man.
Oh, there's a lot to talk about that show.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Oh yeah. Yeah, we got to do something about that.
I'm
we
thinking
can summarize
we
it in one word: Chupacabra.
Chupacabra.
I'm thinking we could even sum up our top 10 Adult Swim shows.
We got to go to the place the house that Coke built. Studio 54? No, you idiot.
Is at this point they realized that reference was not wrong.
Oh yeah. Oh. Whew. My stomach's hurt from laughing.
I'm sorry.
What was that?
I think it's been epic tonight, gang.
Oh yeah.
I'm
What?
I don't know.
It would take us several years to talk about every episode.
I mean, I brought up Mary Tyler Moore and Flirting with Disaster, and the one thing that stands out about that movie was her showing her breasts, sort of.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember that was like Playboy did a thing, Sex and Cinema, and they were like, they show the picture for showing her breasts, and I'm like, okay, I don't know what to make of this. Here's a woman who I've
She
loved.
just had her breasts done. She wanted to show them off. That's what I think.
Yeah. But her and Alan Alda were the couple in that, right?
It was George Segal, I think.
That was it. Alan Alda or George? I don't remember.
George Segal, yeah, I think.
George Segal. Okay, I'm thinking of the 4 seasons with Alan Alda and Carol Burnett.
Mm.
That's what I'm thinking of. Okay. Yeah.
To be fair, I would sometimes mix up Carol Burnett's show. Is her show was a sketch show versus Mary, who was doing sitcom, straight up.
Do you guys realize that Carol Burnett and Mary Tyler Moore were on the same network? They got off the air.
I thought Mary Tyler Moore show was on ABC. Was that?
No, it was on CBS.
No, that was CBS. It was on the same night. It was All in the Family, MASH.
And she's getting up there too. She's 91.
Was it All in the Family, MASH?
I think
Mary
so.
Tyler Moore, Bob Newhart, and Carol Burnett on Saturday.
I know Carol Burnett was on Saturdays.
They were all on Saturday.
Saturday or Sunday.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I'm pretty sure they were all on Saturday.
Yeah,
it was CBS.
And then if Carol Burnett was off, they put on the CBS Saturday Night Movie, which was probably something they dug up, and they would take an Avengers episode and clobber them into 2. Tonight, John Steed and Emma Peel go against robots in Invasion of the Cybernauts. And the second episode of the Avengers,
Yep.
Linda Thurston plays Emma Peel's replacement in Peel and Peel Again. Oh, no, wait, hold on.
Yeah, Saturday nights on CBS in 73, greatest TV lineup ever. All in the Family, MASH,
Yep.
Mary Moore,
Wow.
Bob Newhart, and Carol Burnett.
Yep. Wait, what was before Carol Burnett?
Bob Newhart show.
Bob Newhart show. Okay, all right. Yeah, okay.
It was more than 70. I think it was a few years. I remember, I think it was Cracked Magazine. I would call her Mary Teller Moose.
Yeah.
That's about their level, but yeah.
Wow. So I know I know Carol Burnett got an Emmy nod for that new Apple show, Palm Royal.
Oh, yeah. I
Actress
forgot.
The what show?
Palm Royal. It's an
Palm
Apple
Royal.
show. She was just a nominee. They gave it to. See, that was my issue with the Emmys. Is like they didn't split. They pretty much just gave it to only 2 shows. I'm like, oh, guys, you got to divide this pie, split it up into pieces. Don't just have it be just like Lord of the Rings, where that's all that wins anything. You're like, it doesn't have to be just one.
One Emmy to rule them all.
One to rule them.
Is there anyone that subscribes to Apple TV?
I do.
Me.
You do?
Yeah, I would love to, but
I love their movies.
I have to subscribe and then buy the freaking movie.
No,
like, what
no, you don't. You get the movies as part of the plus.
Yeah, they have you got like 90 seconds of commercial, and that's it at the beginning.
Good.
Yeah, you don't have to buy shit. You got to just.
I don't know. I bought into the Apple TV at one time subscription, but at the time I wasn't finding anything that was holding my interest.
Well, and that's the problem with all these networks. They launched way too early. Then the pandemic happened, and then we were all realizing we don't have patience for anything anymore. And then it was just like, and what is this again? What?
That's what I love about Pluto TV. I've been watching a lot of The Love Boat and a lot of the Happy Days and Mork and Mindy and, Laverne and Shirley. And I'm like, bring me back to this time. Bring me back to when I was in first or second grade.
Right.
My wife and I do Mystery Science Theater or Riff Tracks as an overnight on Pluto.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
On Fridays and Saturdays.
Nice.
I've got them all on DVD, so.
And Voodoo is
this
now
is just something that we can wake up and it's on.
Well, how about the fact that Voodoo is now Fandango at home? Right.
Gil, the best riff tracks I ever saw was Zindy the Swamp Boy.
Really?
Yeah.
That one was just such a. Oh my god! I
had there were some times when I had some riff tracks parties, and a friend of ours, Thomas and I, he picked Buffalo Rider.
Yeah,
and I thought it was going to tank, and it was the life of the party.
Oh man,
everybody loved it.
I love the one with Sean Astin and Bruce Campbell.
Icebreaker.
Icebreaker, yeah.
Icebreaker. That's a good movie. I mean, I don't know why the frig they're riffing on it. It's the same guy who did Time Chasers. The guy who directed Time Chasers. And it's a good movie. It's like it's Die Hard with on a ski resort.
But it's still a B movie. I mean, you can tell it was on a budget. It
was on a budget, but it's a good movie. I mean, that's what I said about when they did the last season of Mystery Science Theater. That one that came out with the monsters.
Demon
Squad.
Demon Squad.
Yep.
Demon Squad. Low budget movie, but I told the guy the one who plays the secretary in it, Aaron Lily Smith. I said it's the little movie that can, because you watch it and you do like it when they're riffing on it, but then you watch it, you take the riff out and you're watching it. It's a good movie. It's a low budget movie, but it's good.
It had it was
going to happen. I liked the teenagers movies that Mary Jo Pehl and Bridget take on.
Yeah,
the old 40s or 50s.
Yeah, those are the teenagers.
It has one of the lowest lanes in it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. All right. Yeah.
Those are fun. And there's all kinds, and they did some Sherlock Holmes movies from the 40s.
Lady in Green.
when it comes to riff tracks, I think my favorites are the two first live ones they did, which was Plan 9 from Outer Space and House on Haunted Hill. Or was it Reefer Madness? Either one of those first three.
I got my name in the credits on a few of those because I kickstarted.
Yeah.
Nice.
No, my favorite was them redoing Space Mutiny. And it comes to ship and Mike goes, "Yes, we know this is footage from Battlestar Galactica."
Yeah.
Isn't she dead? Wasn't she dead? Didn't she die in the last scene?
Yeah, they did do stuff like that.
And then they start doing the riff of the name like Chunk Beefsteak. Everybody started clapping and cheering nuts, squat, Bob squat thrust, just.
When they start in the room, when they riff the room, when they start singing that song during the sex scene, that's probably the funniest thing they ever did. Go up and fetch that. Go up.
That's what I loved about the show.
Bucket of water.
They would always
distract you. Yeah.
That was another one that
make sitcom references and make fun of how uncomfortable everything was.
Somebody brought them. Did you see them recently on live? Anybody see them recently?
Not recently.
Not recently.
Kevin Murphy looks a lot better.
He lost
a lot thinner.
Yeah.
I don't know what he did. I don't know. Somebody thought he was sick or something like that. He might have just gone on a diet or something like that. But he looks a lot better, than he has in a while, But I gotta say this. I think when they went to Golden Corral, finally.
Oh God, yes.
I didn't check that out.
That's on the Patreon page.
Yeah.
Or you might be able to buy it.
I've been to a Golden.
Yeah.
If anybody's ever been to Golden Corral, what they make fun of there, and I've been to it, it's the actual truth.
Yep.
Well, we had a Golden Corral here in Indianola, and near Des Moines. And I used to. In fact, I had my first wedding. I had the dinner before that at Golden Corral of all places for some reason.
I mean, I could understand if Thanksgiving's on a budget, but yeah, it's.
Are they even still in business?
Always. There's one on like every corner wherever I go. So
I don't know, Thomas, do you know if that one in Indianola is still there?
I didn't know there was one in Indianola.
There was.
I'm not sure. Yeah, so I'm not the good person to ask. I know I know that the Ponderosa or whatever it was, that's closed down for years, and that was one of my favorites.
Ponderosa, Sizzler, the Bonanza Steak. It was like Ponderosa, Bonanza, Sizzler. It was like three. It was like three, the same chain but with three different names on it. All I know is that Dan Blocker was like financed some of that stuff, and he made a good chunk of money off of it. But the thing I always said is like Golden Corral. I went to one in Jersey. There was it was in White Horse Pike. That's all I remember. And Kathleen and I went there when we were on our honeymoon. We said, "Hey, let's go to Golden Corral." And we went there, and it was like, oh, okay. What
Golden Corral's new slogan.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Famous last words.
I mean, I don't go to buffet places anymore, but I've been to buffet places like when they do breakfast and stuff like that, but I don't know. I can't do buffet as much as I used to. I can't do buffet anymore. It's just too much. Well,
in this day of COVID, it's I think it kind of put a kibosh on quite a few of them.
Yeah, there's one up by me that's still going, and that's the Chinese buffet. But they're like ultra nuts about you being being clean and safe and everything like that.
But I actually asked a few waiters at a few of the Asian buffets I frequent, and they're like, "Oh, we're required to serve you en masse." I'm like, that should be illegal.
Yeah, but I think they checked everybody there too. They're like, but like I can remember like when COVID hit, like I was like, I remember COVID hit. I'm like, well, we're not going to buffets anymore.
Yeah, not today. No thanks.
Movies,
the Chinese place by me closed down for like 3 months, and then they put, we're reopening. Yay! Let's get Chinese food.
Yeah.
We get the only buffet I know of now. We've got a place called Machine Shed here in Des Moines, and they have a Saturday morning or maybe even Sunday morning, but they have a morning buffet.
I'll meet you there. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh yeah. If you leave the machine, I'll tell you, if you leave the Machine Shed hungry, it's your own fault.
The Machine Head.
I'll put it this way: they have cinnamon rolls bigger than my fist.
That's
what she said? Question mark.
It is what she said.
Yeah, but Tom, on the buffet, they have the little cinnamon rolls, but they're still just as tasty.
Oh yeah.
I can remember like places by me. Now this is going off, but I can remember places by me. They would have like buffet brunch, right? So you go there and you think, oh, it'd be a big buffet brunch. It was like 5 little stations you had. And it was like bacon, eggs, bacon, eggs, sausage. What kind of toast do you want? Hash browns. And that was it. And then you go sit down. You're like, I'm going to get some more. Okay. You go up there. We're out of that now, sir. What?
What?
Wow. I was just here. There's like a big thing. No. And you look over, see this guy with a mound of sausage on his plate. You'd be like, "You greedy bastard!"
The Machine Shed here in Des Moines,
son of a bitch.
Machine Shed here in Des Moines is kind of like Cracker Barrel, only it's better.
Which sitcom character? Which sitcom character do you think would do awkwardly at a buffet? Archie Bunker just flat out is not going to be given any service if he enters the room.
Archie Bunker would be like, "Hey, geez, look what they got here. What's this thing, huh? Hey, what, spare ribs? Hey, fighting the Crouch in World War II. What the hell we doing?" No,
Oh my God.
Just see, they got the Jap food and Chinese food in the same spot.
Oh my God.
I think the one guy who I would love to just see do a bit in a thing is Jackie Gleason's The Poor Soul. You ever see that? The Poor Soul. He would do the poor soul. He was this little character, right? He would just be very meek and he'd come up and do something. And he was like, he'd look at something like that. So I could see the poor soul being at a buffet and him just pointing at something, and they give him the wrong. He says that he's pointing at it, and they're putting it on his plate. He's like, no, that, and he keeps pointing at they keep giving him the wrong thing on his plate.
I know if the Three Stooges go in there, then the whole place is going to get burnt down.
Yes.
The Bundys would have a field day for Married with Children.
Al would be like, "Look, Peg, real food."
Wow.
See, this is what food looks like.
Burger
Peg, they do something you don't do.
This is what food looks like.
No more toaster levers for this family.
Oh my God.
Kids, if I were you, break out the Tupperware.
Oh my God.
And you just see them. They have like 5 things of Tupperware. Like, no, we go up there. I want you to remember one thing: push anybody out of the way who doesn't give you what you want. And when you take it with gusto. And also they see like Marcy and Jefferson there. It's like, "Oh, Marcy, I see you're up here eating at the buffet. Where's the bird food?"
Oh, damn.
Do you remember the episode where they're going out to dinner?
Yes.
Oh, I never saw that one.
Well, they think they have this money. They left it at home. They send the kids off to get the money because, so they could pay for the meal. But the kids take the money and do their own thing with it.
Of course.
Leaving their parents stranded at the restaurant. And then they end up leaving by taking off Al's shoes and like throwing the socks on the floor to keep people away from them.
Holy shit. Oh,
wow.
But I'll tell you one character that would not feel awkward at all at a buffet. Ron Swanson.
Oh, I come here all the time. I don't have a problem with it personally.
I don't think you understand, son. I know what I'm about, son.
Remember the
Ron.
Simpsons racing out of church because it was free sample day at the grocery store.
Oh my word!
Yeah.
Free sample day.
No, I love Family Guy when it's Peter. The guy goes, "Oh, what do you know? Free samples." Comes up again. There's a guy on the phone. He knows. He's like, "Oh, what do you know? Free samples." Then this one guy comes up dressed up as he's like consumer. So, "Oh, must tell free samples to." Okay, sir, we know it's you. You're just gonna be. What are you talking about? Yeah, what are you talking about? Yeah, what you talking about? And it's like three different guys looking like Peter.
Oh my word!
I love the one where Homer goes to the all you can eat buffet place at the seafood place, and he's like, come see the bottomless stomach." He's just
Oh
eating all
damn!
oh
And they made a display out of him, yeah.
yeah, man.
Where he goes to hell and they're punching donuts down his belly.
Oh god, yeah.
That's a Halloween episode.
No.
The Simpsons first episode was really good this year.
Yeah, they did this like a series finale of it.
Yeah, series finale with Conan O'Brien.
But everybody thought it was the real series finale.
When Conan did his finale, he had the Simpsons on, so he acknowledges how he began there as a writer, It's fun how people still go through older SNL episodes and they'll find him as a guard or a random restaurant patron in a skit. Just
Oh, okay.
yeah.
I still laugh at Chris Farley in one of the first sketches he did. Do you want more pepper? Yes, Pepper Boy. I want more pepper.
What do you think gets quoted from him the most, other than "Down by the river"? People will just insert that
down by the river.
Down by the river, and I think you're looking at somebody who's Jack Squat, Or I love when he does the because I make he does the air quotes like I make people feel uncomfortable, I don't have social skills, I talk loudly when other people's are around, I love that one. That was good.
You were in the Beatles and there was a rumor that you were dead. Is that true?
Is that true?
That was neat.
To Paul McCartney.
Nowadays, if you say that, you're going to be like, "I'm asking for a friend."
Yeah.
Which is my way of saying, "I want to know."
You remember that one
You remember
time?
him trying to...
Yeah, I remember that one time.
Time you got busted in Japan for having pot. He's like, well, Chris, I know I did, and I don't want to talk about it anymore. Oh, I'm sorry.
Do you remember him trying to be a Chippendale dancer?
Oh,
yes,
God,
with Patrick Swayze.
Patrick freaking Swayze.
Oh God.
And Swayze's like, "What are you doing?"
Swayze's looking at him, and you can tell Swayze's starting to crack up.
Well, I know, that's what I mean. He knew he was going to be goofy, but you just can't. How can you compete?
Well, he's sitting there trying to play it straight with Chris Farley just doing his dance, and he's flabbing all over.
Harvey Keitel's in that other skit. I forget which one. I think it was John Lovitz did a restaurant skit one time, and he's just guffawn.
I love the one where him and Harvey Keitel and Pat are on the island. And it's like, I need to tell you something. What I'm really, and Adam Sandler goes, "No, Pat, no, don't tell him. Don't tell him, Pat." It's just like, what the fuck? Just there's one SNL sketch that I've loved as a kid from that that 90 to 95 era, which was you like the juice? You like the juice, huh? You like they're at a Greek restaurant and like there's this sausage. Come on, I tell you, come on. You want more juice? And it was Robert Smigel wrote the whole sketch. Because Smigel would write these sketches that were just like so off the wall.
Yes, he did. He's still the longest running writer to this day.
I love Smigel stuff. But did you ever remember we used to do Fun with Real Audio, which was the cartoon?
Yeah.
Oh, was that before TV Funhouse and all those others?
Yeah.
Okay.
So what they did was they did one where it was Jesus appears on Christmas night and he's watching all the channels, and what he does is like Kathy Lee is singing like to Cody and Cassidy, and all of a sudden like he like snaps his fingers and she's out of there, and like the choir starts singing gospel, like da, 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 and then it's remember Robert Schuller with the Crystal Cathedral?
Oh my god.
And he's like, and then he goes, like, he makes him wear a ballet tutu, and then he's like, and of course this is about, as Christ said in the Bible, this is something about the homosexual. It's Pat Robertson. He makes Pat Robertson a rat, and another rat chases him around, and they start screwing, and then he goes to he's like walking by like this thing, and he sees like Reverend Ike with like this, and I will give you this jar of holy water if you only give me $100. And there's like the Happy Days episode with Fonzie and Richie, and then it goes to like he truly was the Son of Man, and then all of a sudden it cuts, and it goes to lights please, and it's
It's so funny how we're bringing up SNL. I did see how Mary.
It's the Peanuts one where Linus tells about the story of Christ being born, and you see the tear go down his eye, and all of a sudden you hear dun, 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 and Jesus starts dancing like he's like really happy about it. I mean, that's one of the best ones. I love that one.
Yeah, it's wild. I did see that Mary Tyler Moore was on a '89 episode of SNL. But Carol Burnett has stated that because she and Lorne Michaels got in a feud, she will never host SNL.
Yeah, she'll never do it.
And get this, Lauren would talk smack. He's like, they crack up. I'm like, that's great. And by the way, you guys do that all the time.
Here's something else.
Yes.
Something else. Mary Tyler Moore actually appeared on, I think it was SNL's 25th anniversary special.
And
she appeared with Eddie Murphy's entourage.
Wow.
Oh God, I remember that. Yeah.
I cracked up. The only other thing that made me even crack up even harder was Charlton Heston being on that episode and reading a letter that he wrote. and
you blew it up, you maniacs! You blew it up.
I love the Charlton Heston episode when he was on it, where he falls asleep and it becomes Planet of the Apes.
Of course. Much like Shatner, you got to make fun of your alter on-screen ego. Yeah.
Oh, man.
Hey, it's been a delight, gang.
I got to watch some.
Follow us on the web on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. The podcast is available on Podbean, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Anchor, Apple, and anywhere else podcasts are available. Feel free to review our show and leave comments on any of those sites. Thanks a million for listening. It's a